matter of hours, that debate will begin right here at Longwood University. That is when Senator Tim Kaine and Governor Mike Pence will face off against each other for the very first time and the only time on a national stage. CBSN's Elaine Kiana will be moderating that debate. This comes as a new CBS News poll finds more than half of voters say they either don't know enough about the vice presidential candidates or are undecided on who to support. Senior Trump advisor A.J. Delgado joins us here in Farmville, Virginia. Good to see you, A.J.
Great to see you both.
Such a beautiful day. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, let's get right into it. Your candidate has said a couple of things over the last couple of days, and forget the fact that the New York Times reported on his taxes. I want to ask you specifically about his charge that Hillary Clinton and her marriage. You know, is that something that we should be seeing in presidential discourse?
Well, he's not criticizing her marriage or even her husband's infidelities. Obviously, Mr. Trump knows that's not a stain on Hillary's character, but rather on Bill's. What he's criticizing is the way Hillary Clinton went after these women who were victims that she would have, if anything, should have maybe empathized with. So when she tries to cast herself as this champion of women and tries to say that Mr. Trump is abusive in his language towards women, as they tried to do with this false Alicia Machado controversy, it's only normal. And we applaud the fact that Mr. Trump would say, hey, wait a minute, who's really the one that has a record going after women? It's you, Hillary.
I agree that there's criticism that if you're of the opposition party, you want to criticize Hillary Clinton for something that she said or she did with regards to women's issues. But this was an attack that had nothing to do with any facts. And I think that's what a lot of people were struggling with. He just sort of pulled it out of thin air, threw it out there, landed with a thud. I'm not even sure, listening to the audio, that the crowd, it sounded to me as some people were pretty shocked. I just, in a contest where he's trying to win women voters over, is that a strategy? I mean, if you were advising him, would you have advised him to say something like that?
Well, I think it is rooted in fact. I mean, it is fact. The papers have reported that Hillary Clinton, for instance, hired private investigators to dig into Jennifer Flowers to discredit her. This woman was a victim herself. So I think it is something that's factual. It's not something that
she might not be faithful to Bill. That's what he said. He didn't say anything about Jennifer Flowers.
Well, I guess that's him opining on this. Is certainly an interesting election. It's a unique one. I guess if he did mention that she might not be faithful, that's something that maybe voters are questioning themselves when they try to portray themselves as this unified marriage. I suppose it is okay to maybe opine on whether they're as solid as they like folks to believe.
I want to ask you about women in particular. You know, Trump has, for the duration pretty much of this campaign, not doing well with women. Pence hasn't really done much better. In the 2012 election, he lost women, a 5 percentage point, didn't do well. Particularly, there was a very controversial anti-abortion bill where he would require women, if you had a miscarriage, even at 8 weeks, that fetal tissue, all of that would be required legally to have to be buried and to have a funeral. It turned off a lot of women. How do you see him winning the female vote when he's got this baggage from before?
Well, two things. I think on social issues, voters are starting to realize, even the most socially conservative voters, that listen, when we elect a president and a vice president, that's not really who decides these issues, whether you're a liberal on the issue or a conservative. So I don't think that should be first and foremost what guides your vote. But second, on women, I think when you look at a ticket that's really pro-women, it is the Trump-Pence ticket, because it's Mr. Trump who really has a record of uplifting women in the workplace.
But the polls don't reflect that. I mean, women just don't. So how do you win them over?
We have to show them what the record is and keep talking about it. Keep mentioning the fact that Mr. Trump's chief lawyer in the 1980s was a woman, that the chief contractor at Trump Tower was a woman.
Because the poll numbers don't reflect that these women are paying attention.
Because the media, credit to you too, that we actually are here and you do allow me to talk about this, but it's a narrative, and it's a true narrative that the media, most of the mainstream media, tries to bury Mr. Trump's extensive, outstanding record as a champion of women in the workplace.
But does it trouble the campaign, the fact that this is going to be the first election when they have the highest turnout of single, unmarried women? It's not the married women, it's a single unmarried women. And they're not identifying with the issues that Trump puts out on women. In fact, they feel this isn't something that reflects who I am today.
Well, I'm a single unmarried woman, and I'll tell you the reason why I stand so steadfastly behind Mr. Trump is he is somebody who's a job creator, his position on trade and the economy. When you're a single unmarried woman, you have to worry about jobs in the economy more than anybody, because there's nobody else you can rely on to pay your rent, to pay your mortgage. So I say to all single unmarried women out there, vote for the ticket that's going to most help money in your pocket, put money in your pocket, give you a good job, stop those trade deals that are killing your jobs, and that's Donald Trump.
All right, AJ, let's talk about the tax returns that the New York Times uncovered from 1995. They've been dominating the headlines over the past couple of days. First off, let me just ask you, and I have a follow, but how does Governor Pence expect to address that at this debate?
Well, I think it's a nothing burger story, right? Even the New York Times.
Nothing burger story.
Absolutely. I mean, even the New York Times said there was no wrongdoing. In the article, he took a carryover loss, which most people do. We all look for ways to pay less taxes.
I don't think anybody is questioning the legality of it. I think what people are questioning is this is a candidate who rose to prominence, at least in this election, off the back of his business acumen. And people are saying, look, you lost $916 million in a year. And businessmen lose money all the time. I spent 20 years on Wall Street. I know how it goes. But what they don't understand is not only did you apply those losses so that you didn't pay any taxes for perhaps 18 years, and you've criticized other candidates, including Mitt Romney, including President Obama, for themselves not paying their fair share of taxes. And secondly, does this really speak to your business acumen if you lost this kind of money and you stiffed the people who may have worked on those casinos?
Well, I don't think he stiffed the people, but I do understand your question as to how great a businessman is he, right, if he lost that much. This is what I love about him, why I actually say, hey, thanks, New York Times, for breaking this story, because I love the fact that this is really a comeback tale. The fact that he came back from declaring an almost $1 billion loss to go on and become a huge success once again. We need a comeback story. America needs a comeback story. We're $19 trillion in debt. Can we turn around the same way Donald Trump turned himself around?
It's a
Please,
great story.
Let's do it.
Being a comeback kid is a great narrative, but I think the question is, look, when you made $45 million, some say, off of when he was the CEO of the Atlantic City Casino Corporation. That stock went from $35 to $17 a share, but he still made $45 million. Didn't have to he was able to offset those losses off of his salary. His salary for The Apprentice, he was making $50,000 to $100,000 an episode. So that taxable income is not taxed because of those losses. People are saying, look, I pay my taxes, you pay your taxes, Rena pays her taxes. Shouldn't he pay his taxes? Shouldn't he pay his fair share?
He did, and he paid all that he was legally obligated to pay. Listen, if your accountants say this is all you owe, that's all you're going to owe. I don't know anybody who looks to pay more. And at the end of the day, let's be honest, the only tax returns that matter are yours, mine, our own, our family members, our friends. And who's going to put us in a position where we look at our tax returns in a few years and say, hey, I'm happy I have this job now. Hey, I'm happy with my income. I feel secure. Vote for a ticket that's going to give you a better job, a better economy.
Let's
Donald
talk about
Trump.
the economy before you leave. There was a group of economists who had served in the White House, and they came out. Wall Street Journal did a story about them saying not one of these economists would be willing to back Donald Trump. A significant amount of them also said that they didn't want to talk about this, that they feared for his economic policies. How is he going to make America great when it comes to economics? Because when these economists who have served in the White House, who have seen what it takes to turn around an economy, are saying it's just not looking good.
Well, it's just silly of them to say that because he has a tremendous economic advisory council, and you have folks that aren't even on his council, like Carl Icahn, the great businessman, coming out in favor of Donald Trump. So it's silly, and let's be honest, Hillary Clinton is the other option. This woman doesn't have a record of creating any jobs. The only jobs she's created are in government and in the FBI. So when we want to vote for somebody with a sound economic vision against trade deals, those trade deals, by the way, which Hillary Clinton championed, both job-killing NAFTA and TPP, which she now claims she's against, she once called it the gold standard.
So what's the one thing he's going to do to help the middle class when it comes to the economy?
Stop the trade deals that are killing them.
And you think that's going to lead to more money in people's pockets?
Well, those trade deals have cost us millions of manufacturing jobs. And I know especially in the Latino community, it has hit us tremendously hard. We tend to fill those jobs in disproportionate numbers. So already right there, the fact that he doesn't have this globalist position on trade deals will be a huge help to the American worker.
Before you go, I want to ask about your family. You're from Miami, South Florida.
Yes.
How are they doing? The hurricane's coming down. How are they preparing?
I think we're going to be okay. We're just missing, it seems, the eye of the storm. I know my dogs, my rescue dogs, will be going nuts without me there, but hey, they know Mama's got to come help Mr. Trump, so make America great again.
Great to see you, AJ. Thank you for joining us.